I'm going to sort of jump straight in.
You want to
with
give the first one? Sure.
So the first one on the list.
I was surprised by this as well.
Yeah, it's structural battery composites.
I'm like, why? What is emerging about
and
this?
So actually, this is a field that's been around for a long time, but we're finding there's a convergence of technologies which are sort of really allowing it to flourish. And it's very simply the idea that you imagine a sort of conventional battery. Sort of, you've either got the sort of the Duracell, if you're thinking about personal components. They've been the same shape for eons. And then sort of you've got sort of the battery in your car, same shape. I mean, it's just this block of stuff.
That's right. And if you live here in Arizona, you know because you replace it every year in your car.
That's right. So you see it.
You see it every year.
But then the question here is, what if the structural components of something, say you take an airplane or a car, the things that actually form the body of it, what if those are also batteries? So now you're no longer having that separate awkwardly shaped battery that you have to plonk into something, but everything is part of the function as well as the form. And we're beginning to find that there are a combination of things sort of with new materials, new ways of being able to sort of construct batteries, new ways of actually being able to design sort of things is allowing this ability to create these composite materials that actually have these battery functions built into them. And we're beginning to see this. I mean, if you look at the electric vehicles, Tesla have played around with this a little bit. There are some sort of airline companies that are beginning to play with this, but it feels like we're just at the beginning of a mind shift in how we think about incorporating batteries into products.
And I think, I mean, again, I came to this, that was the first time I was like, number one? Well, first of all, I was always there was a brief moment where I thought, I was like, should we do this like the late night top 10 thing? And I was like, no, that's too crazy. But I was, to be honest, I was surprised that this was one of the key pieces. And what was interesting, same thing. So you're going through it and you're like, okay, but I get that, you know, you got carbon fiber, you got this stuff, and you could think about, okay, so now we're fusing structure with energy,
and of course,
capacity.
The big driver here is this move towards electrical systems. Sort of as soon as we begin to electrify everything, you've got to work out how to deal with those batteries. Well, this changes it from a problem to a solution.
Well, and batteries have been, have long been one of the difficult problem with electronics is like we have more electronic consumption than we have ability to, I mean, you know this when you're like, my phone's dead, right? You know the pain of having that. But also I thought was really interesting about this is a couple pieces. One is also what you could do. So for example, an EV vehicle or like an airplane or helicopter, or those like personal electronic helicopter type, vertical take eVTOLs or whatever they're called. Is like when you can move the weight of that battery to the structure, you now are be able to like, I mean, I would imagine also because a challenge with EV vehicles, I feel like we need Jamie here to ask him about it too, but is like the weight that those batteries put,
very significant.
It changes the balance of the car. So crash testing in terms of where the weight of the car is. It also creates this concentrated issue of potentially like, especially with like lithium style batteries, the runaway like fire hazard and all this kind of stuff. But so that's compelling. But also I thought even more compelling was using this in more, because right away with vehicles, my first thought is, but what happens when you bend it or break it? So instead of just your front bumper crunching, now your battery
where
is
these
crunched.
Sophisticated composites come in. You can now begin to sort of have a holistic design process with how you build something that runs on electricity.
But then I was thinking, one of the cool pieces to me, again, thinking about the future application of this is I'm like, solar panels on buildings and having like, well, then what do? You route those down to some big old battery wall inside of a garage or whatever. But it's like, but what if that material was part of the structure of the building itself?
There you are, yes.
And so now you have this ability, because there's also, I mean, not on this particular piece here, but in other sort of building technologies, this idea of a living building that can breathe with air and all this stuff, but the ability to have its structure be part and parcel with its energy system, I thought was incredibly cool as a way of...
So, and this is what we do. It's the serendipitously unexpected. That you suddenly realize when you think about it, actually, this is pretty transformative.
This is really cool. Right. And you start thinking about all these new potentials that kind of spin off of that.